This is Left at the Door, a podcast and vlog where we, a group of friends, get together to chit-chat about the things that we left at the door in order to love or grow, succeed, survive, all the things. And we also bring guests on, but today we're going to be doing something a little different. It's just the core four, and we're talking about Galentines.
Galentines!
Not Valentines.
No.
Galentines.
Galentines.
Yeah. The G.
You really, I didn't know about Galentines until like last year.
Because you don't watch TV. And
Accurate.
I don't know if Leslie Knope invented Galentine's Day, but I definitely know what it is from Parks and Rec. And Galentine's Day is where you celebrate your girlfriends. So I thought it would be fun today to talk about sisterhood.
Wait, are you talking about the guys that cheat and they have like 17 girlfriends?
Oh.
Celebrating their girlfriends?
John Tucker Must Die.
I don't watch
Must
TV.
he? It's a movie.
It's
I don't
the
watch
best movie ever.
I think it's a book too.
Is it really?
I would read it.
All I know is that I have a cousin named John Tucker, and so when that movie came out, my family was like, "Oh, ha ha, John
That
Tucker."
poor guy.
And I'm in love with Sophia Bush, so
Don't know what that is.
movie. It's a really good movie. We should watch it.
Okay. I need to make a list.
Add to the
list. Make a list of shows and
We're
Emily
But that's
in
like
Paris.
the ultimate.
Make a
Okay,
list
Emily
of
in
things
Paris
on
is
this.
terrible.
She just
It's
told me to watch it.
so cheesy. It's so terrible.
But that's
it's
what
pretty.
you like. It's cheesy.
But I hate cheesy things.
That's cheesy.
So let's talk about Galentine's Day and women empowerment. Have you guys watched the it's on Netflix or something. God, I really should have looked this up before I decided to talk about it. But it's about the rise of OnlyFans.
No.
And it's called Selling Sexy is what it's called. So interesting.
Gonna have to watch it since
Yeah.
now all of a sudden obviously this weekend I went ahead and started the OnlyFans because
For this piece of hair right here, just this.
Rat-a-tat.
If you want to, it's $14.99 a month. If you want to keep track of the adventures of the rat tail,
the rat tail. I know it's like
it's natural too.
It gets like stuck in my shirt, and so then it just like rat tails out. And man, if this was like the 80s, I mean that'd be some hot shit. But
So we're going to talk about sisterhood today and the family you choose. So not everyone is lucky enough to have sisters in their family biologically. However, I'm a big fan of getting to pick the people that you share your life with. And the four of us all picked each other.
yeah, that is true.
It's interesting, though, because, Cassie and I have known each other forever. And I've only known Sarah and Andrea for a year, but it feels like way longer than that.
This is like that. I mean, there's tons of memes and quotes and things like that, but I really think that it just reinforces the whole, like, it doesn't matter how long you've known someone or what season of your life that you have met them. Like, a person can mean more to you at this season of your life than somebody who, you've known since preschool.
Absolutely.
I think about that, like when I worked at Allerton, Betty Lacey was my right-hand person. We did every event together. Like, she helped to organize everything with me. And, like, she is like a second mom to me. And I am closer to her than, like, some of the friends that I had, like in college or things like that or they stick with you longer. So I really don't think that, like, time has anything to do with, like, how close of a connection can be. And you are right. Like,
When your soul knows, it recognizes something.
your soul recognizes it's like, or chooses its own society. Like, that's one of my favorite quotes. It's so true.
I mean, I was adopted this year, and so, like, I can speak to that. I gained a little sister. Her name is Avery, and she's the cutest little vibrant thing ever.
How old is she?
She is 6. Her and her brother are really close. So her older brother is 7, and she's 6. But she loves all the girly things, but also loves all the boyish things because she has 2 brothers. She's sandwiched in the middle. But she loves going to, like, hang out with me and stuff because I'm a girl, and she never had that, like, big sister growing up. So it's been really fun to, like, be the big sister. And I was never really close with my biological sister. She's 6 years older than me, and we're just the most opposite people you could ever have be siblings. So it's really cool to, like, be that little sister. But I've also experienced sisterhood throughout friendships just because I had to make my own family growing up because my biological family just wasn't that great. So I've had different people come into my life for different seasons and different reasons, and they've all taught me something, which has been pretty cool.
Yeah.
My best friend since preschool is an only child. So for us, it was like like, yes, I have a brother, yes, I have a sister, but she was like my bonus sister because she is someone, her name's Courtney, she is someone who's always been so good at like, my friends are my family, and because she's an only child, you know, and it's different. I grew up with cousins, I grew up with siblings, and I think you learn different skills when you are an only child coming up that way.
I think, well, you would probably attest to that, being an only child.
Oh, definitely. I find I had the best relationship with some of my friends. They act more as you will say blood family. So I never feel like the void of having an actual sibling because I had all these friends that stepped into that role. So it made it it was nice. So
There's always like a variety too.
You
know, I feel like that's one of the things that I appreciate like about our friendship is that depending on, you know, like what I'm doing or what I have planned or whatever adventure, like I know that one, if not all of you, will be down for doing that.
Yeah,
you know what
definitely.
I mean?
And one of us will be available.
Yeah, one of you will be available. And it's so weird to me because my parents' marriage, like they're very connected. People joke and would say like Jody and Leroy are like peas and carrots. You know, like the two of them always are together. And they really are. But they didn't have a whole lot of outside friends. Like my dad's closest friend, Tim Goy, is like their best friends, and then Tim's son and my brother are best friends. So that like that kind of worked out. But my mom just was like with us all the time. You know, she didn't have this. And there has been times that I have had little moments of like I don't know whether it's guilt, where I'm like, oh, you know, like
she missed out.
Yeah.
But she has a bunch of sisters too.
Yes. But she is not close to them the way that we are
close,
or the way that you and Maggie are, or the way that Jaylee and I are, my sister. Like there is just fundamentally, but now she is that way with her cousins. Like the way her and her cousins grew up, I think she's closer to some of her cousins. And I know that sometimes depending on different seasons of your life, you become closer with certain people. But I always think about that. And Jack being an only child, he is that way. Like, he infiltrates families. And I'm always like, oh, God. Like, that's so weird to me. But he is such a social butterfly and needs that connection.
That's how Jimmy is. When we went to Allerton whenever that was, a month ago, every time we met another family on the path, he would just start following them. I'm like, that's my kid. Sorry. Thanks.
Yeah.
We have that phrase. I always tell Jack, stay with your family. Stay with your family. Like, and when you're local, it's a little okay, but when we're at like Disney World, I'm like, no, I don't care. That family has 4 little boys that you're like, kids to ride rides with. Like, stay with your own family. They're on their family vacation.
Yeah. And that's what I worry about too. Like, is he affecting their experience? I like to think he's enhancing their experience, but
because they're cute and because they're funny and witty, we assume that they're enhancing.
Yeah, so everyone else is going to be delighted as I am with my own child.
Right.
Let me ask you this. I personally identified when I was younger as someone who, like, I just get along better with guys. Does every girl go through that phase?
Well, if it's a phase, I'm still in that phase.
No, but I went through where I was like, no, I like guys. I'd rather be with guys. I don't feel that way anymore. I'm definitely like, no, like, chicks are my people.
Yeah.
But,
well, I mean, I think I would say next to my sister and the 3 of you, I mean, my closest person is Coy, you know? And
So who's Coy?
So Coy is who I met when I was a freshman in college. We were in broadcasting school together, and the evolution of Coy could take on like a whole episode in and of itself.
We
but
love Coy.
Yeah, we do.
I think Spencer should put like a timeline on the screen of the evolution of Coy.
We really should. Like, when I met him, you know, he was helping coach high school football, and he wore jerseys all the time and was like really athletic. Like,
Really?
Yeah. He still is athletic, but always like, just always in sporty stuff, you know?
Didn't he like wrestling?
Yeah, he did
that's
wrestling.
right.
Yes.
Professional
Oh my
wrestling.
God.
Like,
We just need to bring him on.
Yeah,
like,
they just
oh my
like
God,
Coy.
it's so fun. But So, but I remember he sat behind me. Him and another kid sat behind me, and
was he the original rat tail admirer?
oh, probably. He probably was.
That's probably what started your
That
friendship.
is what started it. I think
He's
he was
this
like,
chick's got a rockin' rat tail.
and he was so funny and so horrible and would say hilarious things. And I was like, I want to be around that. Like,
Yeah.
at that point,
I want to be
situation-
around people who say horrible things.
They say
Like-
the shit that I'm thinking,
No.
but can't say or
Yes,
will go to hell.
that's cool.
Well, I mean, our professor one time walked in and he has got blotches all over his body, face. I mean, I've never seen anything like it before.
Was he nude? How could you see them all over his body?
He just had like
You're just clear I'm
All over his
thinking,
body.
I'm thinking you're gonna tell me.
Are you Superwoman? Because, you know, you
I did,
have
I
that
could see through
vision.
that, yeah.
You do, okay.
So, anyway, he's got them everywhere. And we're all just like, what happened to you? And he's like, I don't want to talk about it. We're like, no, but for real though.
You can't show up with
You
that
can't
face
be
and
like
say
this.
I don't want to talk about it.
And it wasn't like mosquito bites. We didn't know. And I was like, so Coy, of course, is like kind of whispering because that's how because you're this way too,
Yep.
where you say things and it's really quiet and only I hear it, and then I have a cackle that like disrupts everything. And so
And Coy's good at keeping a straight face.
he is, and he's like, I mean, he had to get stung by bees. And I was like, no, this is not a bee thing. And he's like, the professor's like, please stop talking about my bites. I don't want to talk about it. Like, let's move on. And then Coy's like, well, apparently they were cranky bees. And that is the moment that I was like,
You're my
I love
friend.
you.
I claim you.
I claim you. Yeah.
He's the Alex to your Meredith in Grey's Anatomy.
It
Yes.
is. It's so true.
It's
Watching that,
yeah.
I
I
definitely feel that.
have an Alex
Never watched that.
And neither have I.
because you guys don't have a life.
No, we do have a life.
I don't have a life. It's because there's 17 seasons, and then there's Station 19.
I haven't started that.
Oh,
See,
I
I
love
still
that
watch
show.
shows.
I still haven't made it through Billions. I'm working on it. I'm thoroughly enjoying it, but then like some good true crime stuff came out, and I had to watch that too.
I'm
Yeah.
working through the Chicago series of Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, Chicago Med, and I'm obsessed. But anyway, I have an Alex to my Meredith. I almost said Alex to my Coy. Kyle, he's pretty great. We met through church. He actually used to be one of my youth students, but we're very close in age, so now we're just besties. But I feel like I kind of had to be like, guys are my vibe. That sounds very like pick me girl. If you don't know, it's a TikTok thing. But just because I tour,
You're talking to boomers.
yeah, a pick me girl is like a. Well, I can't reference Grey's Anatomy because you guys don't watch it, but it's
No.
just like a girl that like kind of.
Tell us, yeah.
I don't explain it to the boomers.
Yeah, explain it.
She's got to get her phone
Urban
to show us a
Dictionary.
TikTok. Oh.
Urban Dictionary because I don't know how to explain it, but
You're saying like the quote whenever Meredith Grey said that about
like pick me, choose me, pick me girl,
Yeah.
pick me girl definition.
I'm just guessing.
A pick me girl, a girl who goes out of their way to impress boys and make them seem like they're not like other girls, kind of like a simp but for girls. Otherwise known as internalized misogyny. Anyway, I'm not a pick-me girl, which is something that probably every pick-me girl says, but I have a career living with men in a van as a touring photographer.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, I would love to tour with women. I'd probably prefer that, you know, just because I want my own kind. But unfortunately, we live in a world where the music industry is dominated by males. But the band that I tour with is great, so they're just like brothers to me.
You know, the only other thing I think about is like, I think that we all have the common level of like bullshit meter of like, oh, I just don't want to deal with this, or like
This
the
is
drama.
not my
Like,
vibe.
this is not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, when we were in like 20s, younger stages, like we didn't know that was like low vibration, low
Yeah.
energy. Like now
Yeah.
there's terminology for it. So now I'm like, that's why I didn't like being around those people because
That's why you
there was
didn't
some
like
issue.
being around a pick me girl and a golden retriever.
I was like,
I don't know about
that's
pick me
so
girl though,
sad.
because I worked in a factory. I used to work at Caterpillar, and I was surrounded by men. That's my, coworkers are just men. So I wasn't that pick me girl. I just had to become them to understand their language.
Yep.
So it was a whole different vibe. And then when you see me outside of Caterpillar, I'm more like, oh, girly, girly. But when I was in Caterpillar, I'm like, oh, I'm strong, I'm macho, I'm
corporate culture, you, like,
vibing.
absorb
Yeah,
it.
I'm vibing with these guys. We had a mutual understanding. They had my back, I had their back. But it was just a different experience. It wasn't like I want to be a pick me girl. So it was just who I was surrounded with at that time. I'm matching my energy with who I'm
Yes.
with.
Yeah.
There's two old dudes. They're not gonna listen to this. Let's be real, so I can call them old. They're
What are they,
never
like
know.
36? Yeah.
no, they're grandpas. They're like old.
Hey.
Cassie, you've seen them, I think.
Okay.
That one time you came over to give me memory cards,
And
and
it's
they were outside. I'm sure. They sit outside every day. One of them has a dog, and the other one, they both just drink and smoke and talk. That's it, and you can hear them. Yeah. And so they're retired, and they literally just have each other. That's it. And
That's
one
kind of
time-
sweet, though.
it is sweet. I'm glad that they have each other. But they were sitting outside, and I had my dog Wrigley. I was taking him out, and they really like to talk to everybody because that's how grandpas are. And so I was talking to them. One of them gives Wrigley more treats than he needs. And so he was like, oh, I was going to say something, but I can't say that around a woman. And I was like, sir, you don't know what I do for a living.
Yeah.
You don't know who I live with part-time.
You don't know me.
You don't know. But yeah. Anyway, it just occurred to me that we're talking about men on our Galentines Day episode, so maybe we should get back to the girls.
No, I brought it for a reason.
Oh, for a reason. All right.
For a reason.
Bang out that reason.
So the reason is, I used to identify that way, but now at this stage of my life, I'm definitely more drawn to a feminine energy. I'm even in a relationship with a man who has a very feminine presence, and you wouldn't know that by looking at him, right? You guys have all met Dustin,
Right.
But he has a very feminine energy, and he's always drawn to women too, which I find comforting, and it makes me. I feel like it allows me to just be very in my own energy, and he gets it, But I think that's one of the reasons that this all works too, is because we're all in this phase where we're ready for that strong, powerful feminine energy, and we're not intimidated by it or turned off by it. It doesn't repel us. And there's definitely been times in my life when I would have been like, oh, that is so not for me.
Yes. I think I'm at a stage where I'm open to it because I wouldn't go seeking, I would never join a mom's group. When Jack was little, I was like, oh, I just don't think that's a thing.
See, and I was joining mom's group when I was pregnant. I'm like, I'm almost a mom. Can I come?
Yeah. But I'm open to, I will say, I trust all of your judgment. So I'm like, okay, if you're okay with them, if you're, when we go on retreats or something like that, if these are, people that you're like, Cassie, okay, I trust, your judgment with those things. And I don't know whether it's because I'm so in my head of, I don't know what it is, but I'm like, oh, I don't know. I've never been, and maybe it's just the introvert where I'm I'm okay with not meeting new people. But if I meet new people based upon somebody else's recommendation, I'm good with that. And it's always been that way.
And it usually works out.
It does. I think so too. Yeah.
Well, I think it's all about finding the community that you can trust, of women that you can trust, because let's be real, a lot of women didn't make it out of high school mentally. They're still there. That's why I would not personally join a mom's group when I become a mom, because I've seen the Facebook groups, I'm in them for recommendations, and Lord, those women tear each other apart. But that's the whole point, is that we need to stop tearing each other apart. We need to just build a community. So finding that community of women that you can trust, then you start to expand that community, because they also have those good recommendations.
And I think you've had better experience with that, because I feel like that's how, I remember one time I went to a group and they were all pulling out Pinterest stuff, and I was like, oh, I'm not a Pinterest.
It's not me.
That's not me.
Yeah.
Did anyone watch the news and want to talk about that? Did anyone
oh God, no.
Yeah. And so I was like, I think that's one of those things where I was like, oh, I I want to talk about like what makes you cry at 3 a.m. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about like
What was the
That's
last
your
thing you
small talk.
yeah, that's my small talk.
What are you proud of right now?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't need to talk about which super glue did better with, securing Jimmy's, like,
No, I wanna-
velour, stuff together.
I want to know that too, though.
Yeah.
I need to know.
But you are a crafty person.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
I think
So
it's
nice.
also
Yeah, you guys
And
would,
then
I'd be
I
like,
think
this is...
I
need
think
that.
Jesse and it's weird because like Jesse and I, we connect a little more on a crafty side of level, and
like
we
the stuff we like to do.
and the stuff we get excited. It's like almost like having an orgasm when we walk into Hobby Lobby.
Cassie's like, this place is a fucking nightmare. Get me out of here.
To Cassie's
I'm
like
just
a
here to throw
nightmare.
pillows.
Like, we're just like, oh my gosh, this
And we
is
start planning and scheming and
scheming
Well, see,
things.
you guys, I think it's all about finding what
But
you
we
bond
do.
over. You guys bond over that. We bond over not being that way.
Yeah, that's true.
we're extroverts and introverts.
Yeah, or we'll
Yeah.
see things, and like I sent you something on Pinterest, or I mean on Instagram, and I was like, this is really cool. Yeah, I mean, you could make this.
Yeah. But that's great though, because that's what balance us out, and that's what make our relationship really good and interesting.
Yeah.
Because each of us have a little unique thing about us that we share with each other. So we might not exactly bond over Cassie or Sarah or something, but there's little things we bond over. Like you have your pets, I have my pets, so you got Choppy. There's just little nicks of things we bond, and that's what I like. It's not just about, oh, Jesse and I are crafty and that's it. That's all we're gonna talk about. No, we talk about any and different things.
I appreciate your craftiness.
Yeah.
I appreciate the things that I am not. Let me just put that out there. I solely know that I benefit off of everybody's like strengths and gifts. Yeah.
And we appreciate Sarah. We appreciate your photography.
Yep.
Because, geez,
And your point of view.
Point of view. And
Seriously.
Cassie, well, that's a long list.
That's a long list. We
But
don't
we
have time to go
appreciate
through.
you.
She is a 10.
She's a 10.
even
That's
with the rat
100.
tail.
Oh, the rat tail puts you over.
The
does.
rat tail.
You get to add the
What's
3
that
that is the rat
movie?
tail.
Dirt?
Ratatouille. Ratatouille.
I would take Ratatouille over Joe Dirt.
Okay.
No, you get both. That's it.
I'm Gen Z. I can't hear that movie without laughing.
Hi, I'm Sarah and I'm the owner of Bad Love Creative Co. I'm a photographer that services both Central Illinois and Chicago areas. This year has been incredibly difficult for me. I've had lots of cancellations due to shutdown. Prairie Commons Business Collective has helped me bring awareness to my clients. The marketing has let people know that I'm still here and I'm taking clients. I'm taking social distancing measures, and that is how my photo shoots go. Prairie Commons Business Collective has really helped get more clients and to reach new people. One of the things I love most about Prairie Commons Business Collective is that there's a place for everybody, which is something I value most. It's a community of people of all business types. So whether you're a crafter or a photographer like me, or even a furniture maker, there's a place for you.
May your day be filled with giggles. The place to come for cards and gifts. Learn some new lies just for you. Come and try our tasty treats. They will leave you giggling too. Oh, the brightest spot on Merchant Street will leave you happy and complete. May your day be filled with giggles.
One of the reasons that this relationship all works right now, too, I think that we are seekers and we're all trying to learn something about ourselves, and not everybody does that.
Yeah.
So it's not even that I'm specifically drawn to like females, but I'm drawn to people that are doing that sort of work, and the ones I'm encountering just happen to be feminine. So
Yeah, that's a good point too.
Yeah.
Like where everybody kind of is on a, I don't know. There's like been maybe it's COVID where like there's been like more of an awakening with people where they're like,
when you're just stuck with yourself, you got to get to know yourself a little bit, and that's where I think that our bond has grown so quickly. Is we know ourselves and we're seeing bits of ourselves in each other.
I also think it's important to, on that note, form a community that forces you to grow. And that's what this has done. So I think if you're out there and you haven't found that community and you're listening, you're like, well, I'm by myself and I don't know how to get community. It's important to look for people that force you to grow, because it's like a relationship. You want your partner to help you grow, so why don't you want your friends to help you grow too?
Exactly.
I do think that's a really good point, because and I don't think that that's a selfish thing, but I do think that, like, I know my friendship with you, or the friendships that I have, make me better, make me smarter, make me more aware of things. Like, I remember my mom would always say that. She would always be like, don't surround yourself by yes people. Or meaning more or less that people are just going to tell you what you want to hear. You know, like, you're never, and a board of directors is never going to be like that. And I always say, like, even from like a work perspective, like I say that within our own thing, where I'll say, we are sometimes only as good as my creativity. So like, if I stop, like, where do we go from there? Like, I hire people, and I want people who are creative and who have ideas, because otherwise it's just me.
I thought you hired me because of our noses.
Well, that you're an exception. So that was the only reason that you got hired.
I don't have no
the fact that
ideas,
our
I
nose,
just have
you don't have
same
just
nose.
the same nose. But I do think about that, where it's like or people introduce you to other things or other ideas, and that's just really beneficial. But you have to be open to it. And sometimes friendships aren't. I do think about that, where like people have friendships, and it's like the commonality is like what? You know,
I think we all
I mean, sometimes friendships are. I mean, Brene Brown talks about that a lot. Where it's not a friendship if your friendship is just based upon mutual hatred of somebody else or something else.
I think
The exception is John Tucker Must Die.
I think you need to reevaluate your friendship if you can be honest about the conversation to that person and tell them to their face, okay, here, I love you, but this is how. But if you're hiding and it's just faking it. So why be in a friendship if you're just gonna not be honest about it and fake it?
We had a moment. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
We had a moment before the show where Cassie said, "Are you ready for some feedback? Can I give you harsher feedback?" And I'm like, "Why are you asking that?" Yes, give it to us. Not only because like I want to grow, but this is we are safe people that you can say things to. And like, I don't know, we don't really fight, but if there was gonna be a fight, we'll survive it.
Right, exactly.
But have a boxing ring.
But I think it
comes from a good place too. I think it's because we know that even when something gets brought up or discussed, or there's like, like if we talk about like the lead balloon thing, where it's like, hey, this is something that's really super heavy, but ultimately it's not out of like, I don't even know, out of like cruel intentions. I think it's all about intention.
It's an investment. I can think of relationships where something, I mean, even we've had something come up recently, and in a past life, if I had a friend that had done that or stepped into the situation or whatever, I'd have been like, well, it's just easier to just not be friends with them anymore. And this is not a conflict that I want to bring up with them, and I just don't care enough. But I think that speaks too to our intentions and our commitment to each other to be like, hey, so this is a thing that like I care enough about our relationship that I don't want this to be like a brewing hostility, so we just need to have this conversation. And it's all rooted in love, but you have to be willing to be vulnerable, and you have to be confident is not the word, but like secure enough in your relationship to know that it's okay to do it.
I think it's also about how you go about things too, and how you address the topic, because if you address it in a hostile manner, you're just like so pissed off, then it's not going to work out. But if you like take time to cool down and then you bring it up lovingly, then it's going to go over a little bit better. It may not go over as planned.
And then it's in my opinion, I would like you guys to give me criticism. I don't care how harsh it is, because sometimes I may be doing something that I'm not aware of, and it could be affecting. I'm like in my own little bubble, not realizing how much it's gonna affect someone else. So it's good to just give me that criticism to let me be aware of what I'm doing, so maybe I can reevaluate how I do things, how I say things, and I think that's important.
That's another good thing to think of too, because if you are walking around assuming that everyone is doing their best, you are a lot less likely to get triggered by the things that are going wrong. So, you know, if I were to be like, hey, Andrea, you're doing this thing that just makes me bananas, and I know that you're not doing it because you know that it makes me bananas.
Yeah.
Like, that's so much better than to be like, oh my God, you have got to stop, blah,
Right.
blah, blah. And also, I think addressing it before it gets to a boiling point, too, with people is so important.
Well, and think about how, like, kind of piggybacking off of what you say of, like, people are maybe trying their hardest or, like, they're at their best. I really think that is an emotional maturity level that not everyone ever achieves. And that is like that from a relationship standpoint, like with, and with friendships, where once there's so much resentment built because conversations didn't happen all along the way. It's like there could have been so many moments that there could have been a check-in, but instead it's like all this resentment, and now you're to the point that it's like, where do you even go from there? Because you automatically always assume that person is operating out of manipulation, and that is like, that's with friendships too. I mean, there's a lot of people that have those types of friendships, and it's like, well, I stay friends with her because like I've always been her friend. But then it reminds me of I saw a quote the other day, and it was like, have a core group of people that will speak your name and drop your name whenever opportunities arise. And I think about that, where it's like, those are the type of people you have in your corner, the ones that are always like everybody's gonna have their things that we are and the things that drive each other nuts, but like at the end of the day, we still should be our biggest cheerleaders.
I think, you know, on that
each
note,
other's biggest cheerleaders.
I think on that note, so one of the things that I learned when my parents decided that they wanted to not be in my life anymore, my biological parents, somebody told me, I can't remember who it was, but somebody told me that they loved me with the best that they could. And even though their best was not what it should have been, it was still all that they knew. And I think that's important to carry into all of our relationships, not just parental or like loved ones or partners. It's important to carry that into friendships. So when Jesse is doing something that makes Andrea go bananas or whatever, Andrea's fucking around and it's driving Jesse crazy. You know, you have to remind yourself that like, oh, Andrea's just fucking around and she just is loving us with the best that she knows how.
She can do today.
Just fucking around.
It's just the fuckery.
I have so many like health problems and complicated life situations, and I'm super blessed to have enough people around me that know, like, she's not being flaky, it's this, or she didn't blow me off, or she wasn't, you know, of course she's irritable, she's in constant pain, you know, things like that. And I have to remind myself that there are so many people that have the same kind of issues that I have, and they don't have one single person that's like understanding of that or graceful with them. And so I appreciate you guys.
Well, I think it's like, it's not just our kids when we say, oh, it takes a village to raise a child, but I don't think it's just that. I think that growth still continues. So it still takes a village to support each other, even as adulthood, you know? I do think that our commitment to friendship also, I think that's also why there's like a whole glue, or why the other people in our circle, is because that extends to our kids as well. It's like, even though you're not a mom, you still feel that way about our kids, and we feel that way about each other's kids. You know, I look at like whenever we did Picnic in the Peonies at Allerton, and like fun. You brought Avery, and we all had you know, I just like think about that, where it's about wanting to have the next generation to where they all are raised as like little cousins and have each other and know that they have each other as well. And I think that's important for a child to know, that it's not just, it doesn't have to just be blood, you know, that, you know, and we always say this, you are so good with boundaries. And I think you've taught me so much about like, okay, well, just because that person is like you said, like a parent or a sibling or a spouse or whatever, that doesn't mean that something's not toxic, and it doesn't need to just be like, okay, I'm gonna have to put a boundary up, because otherwise it's not healthy for me, it's not healthy for you, and it's draining.
Yeah, I think it's important to take care of yourself first at the end of the day. And sometimes the best thing that you can do for your loved ones is to love them from afar. I have made peace with the fact that my biological parents aren't really in my life. My dad is kind of, but my mom is not. With just the fact that I need to love them from afar right now. That's what they need, and because they're being stubborn and they're stuck in their ways. But at the end of the day, I'm also praying for them, and I'm doing things that still love them well.
Yeah.
So I think a question that I have for you guys is, there may be some viewers and listeners that are listening to this right now and they're like, well, I'm alone. I don't have community. I don't have these friends that you guys are speaking about. So my question is, how have we found community in adulthood? Because let's be honest, it's so easy to make friends in college and high school, but then you get thrown out into the world and you're like, I don't have friends and I don't know how to make them. So how have you guys made community?
That's a great question. and I'm going to answer that for you. The way that I find friends in adulthood.
Can you
and
restart that? I just
No, I'm going to keep going.
Okay.
No, we have to keep going. The way that I do that is I just find people that are outgoing and extroverts, and then they find me friends.
You just delegate.
And then I say, you should meet my friend Cassie.
Yes. I mean, even like Kabeji wouldn't. Kabeji's that way. Our friend that she was on the podcast for a few episodes, and Kabeji's that way. She is like such an extrovert, and she's like, you need to know this person and this person.
That's how I got my job with you.
I know.
And that's how I got to be on this podcast, was through Kabeji.
Kabeji connected. I mean, I really do feel like a lot of my life is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just people dragging you along.
It is. I'm
So
like,
as a dragger, here's how you make friends. Find something you enjoy, something you're passionate about, and go out and find other people that like it too. So I like to craft. I like my job. I mean, outside of you guys, most of my friends are people that I know because of pure romance. So they're either other consultants or they're clients that have become friends, and that's who 90% of my interactions are with. And before COVID, it was 90% of my in-person interactions were with pure romance people. But if you don't have an outlet like that, like a day job where you're meeting people, and also I think something we get bad at when we're older is following up and staying in touch. It's a lost art.
life happens, and you're like, hey, I haven't talked to you for 6 months.
And it's 100% a skill that has to be developed. My friend Brandy is really good at it. She would always send postcards when she traveled. She would send birthday cards. She was someone, before we had kids, now we both just kind of suck at it, but she would like write me a letter.
Oh,
You know?
Yes.
I mean, who does that?
Pen pal so
That's
bad.
so much
Me
like,
too. If you are looking for pen pals,
We need
Sarah and Jesse are accepting applications.
you know, my sister is that way
Andrea.
too.
I'll
She is
accept it
like,
too.
Yeah.
she remembers
accepted.
everyone's birthday. She sends a card to everyone. She's the
She's the best hype man.
She is. She really is. And she's the one that, like, anytime there's a bridal shower, a baby shower, and anything shower, she's like, okay, this is what we're doing gift-wise. I'm like, so I do believe, though, that to kind of answer your question, in a lot of ways, even if you don't want to do the legwork and be like, oh, I'm just going to go to this social function, or I'm just going to walk into this bar, or I'm just going to walk into this fitness club.
Even that sounds horrible to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
I do believe you just have to be open and to even allowing other people take the lead.
I think you have to be intentional about it. I found a lot of my friends through church and going to like young adults group and serving. Serving is a huge way I've made friends. And so I think it's just like finding your little group of things that you enjoy, whether that's church or crafting, or like, I know I made a lot of friends through like dance and stuff because I used to dance. Just finding that like group where you can bond over that one specific thing, and from there, then you meet people through that aren't even at that group, and it just kind of explodes. But at the end of the day, I'm an introvert through and through. I think I am the worst at getting out. I isolate myself unintentionally all the time, but I force myself to go to those things when I'm feeling anxiety. I just force myself to go. And I'm like, okay, I know that the outcome for this can be great if I just go, but also take care of yourself. There's a balance to
Yes, there is a balance.
I love
That's
what you
good.
said about serving.
Yes.
Because if you can find something that you enjoy doing that is also in service of others, you're going to encounter other people that are like-minded and have matching hearts. And that's where you're really going to find good connections.
And I think it's important to have people in your life that have servant hearts and that are intentional and thoughtful, because
They'll do stuff for you.
yeah, Yeah. At the end of the day, they're just your slaves.
So I just had a funny thought.
Can I recuperate from that with the Bible, please? That's not what Jesus said.
What would Jesus say?
God commanded us to have servant hearts, not to be slaves.
So I just had a funny thought to answer Sarah's question, and especially introvert. Finding friends, and this is funny.
Yeah, cheat your face towards the camera because all the cameras
Break the fourth wall.
What is something that you like to do? What is a favorite store, or what is a favorite restaurant, or what do you like to eat? Just go there by yourself, sit down, start talking to yourself. Someone is gonna listen to that conversation and probably chime in.
I know we're saying in order of our extrovertedness.
Yeah,
Andrea, that sounds like my worst nightmare.
It's funny though. I will go do things on my
You're
own.
not
That
talking,
doesn't bother me.
but listen to this, introverts. Listen to this, introverts.
gonna
You're
talk
not
to
talking
myself.
to people. You're
Listen,
talking to
introvert.
yourself.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to talk to myself.
You're
In
not
public, I'm going to
brave.
look like a lunatic.
I will go places
you know-
to eat though, and I will like talk to the staff. Like that doesn't bother
just
me
talk
one
to the
bit.
staff,
Yeah.
go grocery
Now-
store.
And because they're serving you.
Now, will I then say, "Hey"?
Would you like to come to my book club?
Yes. Now that is where you and I are the difference because Jesse will meet somebody.
Do you have a boyfriend?
Yeah. Oh my God, it's everywhere we go.
It's a miracle that Cassie and I are still
Yesterday when we were at Target, we were like walking in Target, and he's like elbowing me, and I was like, "What?" And he's like, "That guy's not bad looking."
Oh, Jack, the best wingman.
I was like, "You need to focus on the Legos that you're wanting to buy, and let's go."
So, like, back to that. It's
What do you mean? Can you
So-
define talk to yourself?
go to a certain part of the store. Maybe there's a supermarket. Let's say you're in the bread aisle of a supermarket. There's people in the bread aisle.
She's filming
And you're
podcast
going-
episodes in the grocery store.
I know.
Okay, go.
And you're going like, what bread should I get today? And look at people. What do you think?
Okay, now I would do that.
And this is
Or I'll
there's
just start
a fight.
somebody.
And that's
I would
where
strike
you
up
and
a-
I differ.
It is because I will have those
They
random
strike
conversations.
A conversation.
If somebody did that to
And
me, I'd
that's
look
how
at them
you-
like crazy and walk away.
You never know.
Where-
But you never know.
Where were?
is
Yeah, it's so
always-
true. Where were we that this happened?
Who says
Everywhere because
supermarket?
It is
you
everywhere.
you run into somebody you know everywhere we go.
Supermarket, grocery.
It's the place. Best Buy. Remember
Yes.
Best Buy wasn't open?
Bananas. She said, maybe if I do jazz hands, the door will open.
No, you're not welcome in.
Oh, I that video
And I
popped
did.
up on my.
And I struck up a conversation with people in the parking lot, and Sarah's
Yep.
like, "I'm getting in the car."
Yep.
Oh God, I'm about to die.
It's such a battle with myself because as Christians we're called to be extroverted and go the extra
a witness,
mile.
right?
Yeah, to talk to other people. And I just every time I let my flesh win, and it's something that I feel very convicted
you can just
of
stay
right now.
in your
but-
energy. That's okay to like. Your energy can still draw people in, and that's just as much Christ-like as being like.
Yeah, but I really shouldn't give people weird looks when they start talking to me.
That is true.
And then the next thing you say is, "I love Jesus." And then, I don't think that's an attractive.
Yeah.
etiquette.
No, I just start quoting scripture.
Like,
They're like, "Oh God, this girl is weird.
Yeah.
I wonder where she goes to church."
I went to Bible college.
I did think about that. I really did. I was like, you know what? The two things, I always said I would never get a tattoo. And now I'm just
Now
like,
you're gonna.
fuck it. Why not?
Yeah.
You know, like,
Let's all
we
get
were-
matching
yeah,
ones.
Yeah, we were.
I won't do that.
So, and
I'll get one.
You
But
guys
I
can
don't
get
It's a
want
piece
it.
of cake.
And I will get tattoos with you, but I will never get a matching tattoo.
I am
think
never.
that's how I am too.
I'm never
I'm
getting another
done.
tattoo. I'm all talk.
yeah.
This hurts. It hurts so bad.
That's the fun.
That's what I was going to say.
Fucking
So
weirdo.
everybody
It's because I'm
is-
depressed.
Everybody is surprised
So am I. I
when
don't want
they
someone to hurt
find
me.
out I have a huge tattoo of a cat on my back.
Yeah.
Wait, you
And
do?
I do. You see?
See?
Everybody is like,
I love it.
I'm an ink mama, guys.
A cat
I
too,
have
ink mama.
Yeah, I have 2 tattoos on my back, and I forget about it all the
See,
time.
that's what I think I want it down my spine.
Yeah.
See, and
it's-
that's
yeah.
one of the most painful spots you can do.
Oh, she's gonna organize them all over the chair.
At the same time, this was my first one, and she's pretty big, so
Yeah.
I support it. I have actually been wanting to get a tattoo, so if you want to go get a tattoo together, I'm down.
I want to go and support you.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
You can hold our hands.
Group activity.
I also think that I'm really particular because I see a lot of people that are like, oh, I love Johnny at Rockstar Tattoo. And I'm like, I think your tattoos look like a kindergartner did it. So I will never, like, I think I'm real particular about that too.
Yeah.
You should be. It's fucking permanent.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, just because someone knows how to do them doesn't mean that I'm like, oh.
You're stuck with it for the rest of your life, so you got to make sure you like it. And whenever they draw it up, and if you don't like it, you got to say something.
Yeah.
And the one thing to keep in mind is that they're not a good tattoo artist should not be offended if you don't like it, and then you tell them to redraw
They should
it.
have a portfolio. Usually they should have pictures of their previous work for you to see it. So that's how...
Well, and I think about, like, one of the exes that I have, like, we traveled to...
Like you collect them.
Yeah.
One of the exes I have.
Just collect the bag. We would like, he went to South Bend. He had done, like, this research, and there was a guy that he wanted to do, like, up there, and, like, liked his work. And then there was another one in, like, New York City that he, like, it was forever to get into them. And so, like, something like that, I'm like, I just feel like this is where my analytical brain
It
of,
needs
like,
to be an experience that it has to be the perfect
so I
match.
kind of won't just let Joe Schmo from, you know.
I might have a few recommendations for you. I mean, I don't know because I don't have any tattoos, but
Right.
Yeah.
I might have a few.
You might know some people.
You might know some stuff.
We should start a Facebook group for the podcast.
I agree. The Left at the Door community.
I'm for any of that. If anyone wants
anyone
to
wants to do
connect,
it, I'll do
because
it.
you will.
I'll lift her
I'll
up.
do it.
It's
Let's
we're
have-
lifting each other up.
We're friend matchmakers.
Yeah.
And our Left at the Door Facebook
Speaking
group.
about
Stay
friend
tuned for that.
matchmaker, I did do a friend matchmaker last year with two people that I know. One happened to be Talia's principal.
Was it, wait, that is a person that we should have come on.
No, not
I was
Talia's
thinking
principal.
about earlier.
Yeah.
But it was her dance teacher and then our hairdresser. They were going through personal issues, and you would feel like these two people are the same person. So I reached out to both of them and I said, hey, I feel like you would make a really good connection with this person. And they are. They're friends today.
See, that's what I'm saying.
I've got up on Facebook and I see their little comments, and I'm like,
So, bottom line, if you need a friend, Andrea's got you.
yeah, I've got your back.
Alrighty. Should we
This was
close
a
this
good-
out?
I've got a friend in you. We got a friend.
You got a friend in me.
There you go.
And this has been another episode of Left at the Door.
That we're closing. Hi, I'm Cassie Yoder, and over the weekend there was some very tragic news. It was brought to our attention right before the podcast began, and we thought our viewers and listeners would want to support Sarah in all of her grief.
So, I was just about to leave for a recording today, and I got a call from my adopted mom. And we have 15, something along those lines, chickens. They're all city chickens. And our favorite died. She was smooshed by the fence.
Smooshed by the fence.
no.
For real?
Yeah, she died overnight.
I don't think I really needed to know the details.
Someone's going to pay for this. We won't stop until there's justice for Sheryl Crow.
There will be an investigation launch.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
And a hashtag.
We won't stop.
Sheryl
Can we
Crow
start-
strong.
Can we start our own intelligence unit?
If anyone has any information regarding the death of Sheryl Crow, why she was crushed to the fence.
What did she do to deserve this?
Absolutely nothing. She was our prized possession.
So she just stuck her head under the thing?
I
and
really
just, like,
don't
couldn't get
know.
out?
Mary said she
Did you
was
have a
going to
collar?
send me a picture and
Send you a picture of the dead. Oh my god, I went on a date with someone who shall remain nameless. And he showed me a picture of his dead dog, and I was like,
I already know who this is.
I do too.
I'm like,
Why?
So
No.
I was on the phone.
So please don't share those.
I didn't get the
dead
picture.
chicken pictures.
Well, it gets worse. I was on the phone with Mary.
How can it get worse?
And Avery was also on the phone, and Avery's a huge animal lover. And they went outside, and Avery started crying, and, they were having a moment. And she said, FaceTime to show Sissy.
Oh, somebody had to share that.
And Mary said, I'm not FaceTiming her to show her a dead chicken. I'll just send her a picture.
Okay, now I will say, I will give her credit because the first thing that happens whenever something bad, I'm always like, I call my sister. So
Yeah.
I can understand the reaction that Avery had of just FaceTime Sissy.
It was pretty bad. It was traumatic. I could hear it over the phone. She was crying. A 6-year-old crying over a dead chicken is never good.
If you'd like to donate to the cause, you can send money to Sarah on Venmo.
I will have my Venmo on the screen, Spencer. I'll send it to you.
And she will make sure the funds are put in the right hands to bring Sheryl Crow's killer to justice.
Please.
Or at least buy a
When is
new
the
one.
funeral,
Oh yeah,
Sarah?
when's the arrangements and the funeral and all that?
I don't know.
We'll share those on our social media as soon as arrangements
We
have
can
been
live
made.
stream it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
In loving memory. Okay, so it just gets better every time you look at it. While we were recording this episode, my mom sent me a graphic that she had made. And it says, in loving memory of Sheryl Crow. We'll put it on the screen for you guys. So if you're listening on the podcast, sorry about you, go to YouTube.
Sorry, yeah.
And it has like her birth date and then, to the end date. And then she literally was a week from.
Cute.
She's adorable.
Is it a Betty White situation where she almost 100?
She was almost years, yeah.
Oh, yeah, chicken ears. That's
They only live to be like 5 years, so
Yeah, so-
She was a week away from turning 1-year-old, and the thing says the best chicken a gal could ask for, and it says R.I.P. Sheryl, and then hashtag Ansall Family Farms.
So what was Sheryl really good at? Let's make this a tribute.
Should we call Mary and ask?
Put her on.
Hello.
Hey, we are recording a podcast episode, and we are doing a tribute to Sheryl Crow. I wanted you to give your best words about Sheryl Crow, what she was good at, why you loved her so much, why she was our prized possession.
Oh, well, Sheryl was the best chicken, mainly because I realized at a young age, Sheryl, when she was at a young age, that she liked to eat cicadas, and I hate cicadas, and she would hunt them down, and I never had to worry about going outside and finding a cicada because Sheryl took care of the ones that dared to wander off a tree, and that was great. And Sheryl was like a dog with wings. You just go out there, say, Sheryl, she'd just come running to you. And as Sarah McLachlan says, now she's in the arms of an angel. She really was an angel. Sheryl was an angel. She just loved people, loved mealworms, loved cicadas, and I'm pretty sure she loved country music as well.
Probably.
She's Midwestern
rock.
gal.
If you say that too. Mary, we have something for you.
Oh, you do?
We do. Just.
Makes it better that it's Marines, because that's her family.
R.I.P. Sheryl.